mic was muted on the recorder for the whole time. It's okay. You remember what I said? I just unmuted it. So, yeah. Okay. Okay, so we have our support and resistance lines that we just charted on here. We just turned on vision. You definitely don't want to chart with vision on there because it'll just look like a crowded mess. So definitely hit the little eye icon. But now we can see, like I said, vision doesn't go on any type of support, resistance, indicator, or anything. But now that we have vision on here and our support and resistance lines, this is all stocks play on all day, every day. If they don't, if like, the reason you want these lines on here and the reason you want them to kind of be accurate is because everybody else that knows what they're doing and trading, they have the exact same lines. So if they're seeing the same thing you are, you're going to know when to go long with everybody else. You're going to know when to go short with everybody else. So just like this long signal right here, we seen it test this thing three times, and then it said long. You could have, if you wanted to, waited for a couple little confirmation candles that it was green and it started to come up off that support, and then it was actually gonna find support on there, and then you could get in, whether buying shares, buying calls, whatever you want to do. Came up, and this I would consider a little resistance. Came down, came up to test it again. Came down a little bit, but it was making a higher low right here. So here's one low, and then here's a higher low, and it made a slightly higher high there. So that's a good sign that, hey, it's going to keep going up and it's going to test it again. So let's see if it's going to actually break through that resistance zone. And it did. It broke through that one, kind of ran a little bit, broke through this one, and kind of ran a little bit. Now it smacked that one and kind of got pushed back down, and then it tested it again and got pushed back down. And then you got the short signal right after that. So now you know, okay, there's my exit. And that's where you'd cover your call. And then if you wanted to, that's where you would buy a put. You can ride that down a little bit there, and then you can kind of see it bouncing in back and forth like this. And it's kind of hard to know when the price action is going to do this. It's not Vision's fault or anything. It's just Vision's seeing what's going on the chart. Yeah. So I mean, you got to know, especially if you've been trading a while, you got to know when something has a run like this, like it did from down here at 48.42 or 48.50, let's call it, all the way up to $50.59. I mean, that's over a $2 run on something that usually probably doesn't run that much. So you got to know when it does run like that. That's probably it for the day, especially on Uber, since a lot of people trade it. It's got a lot of volume. I'm assuming it's got a pretty large float. So same thing here. Here's another long signal. You could wait for a little bit of confirmation if you wanted to. But the long signals, along with having your support and resistance lines, that's going to give you all that extra confidence that you could ever ask for. If you see something like this, okay, well, what's it doing right now? It's testing that support. And so once it starts to pick up off the support, plus we got a long signal, well, we know that's a good one. Now we know, okay, I know that I'm going to make money on this one because of what it's doing. And we found these support and resistance lines before we ever flipped on Vision. So basically, when you have these lines, this is basically telling the future. Hey, if it breaks through this, it's going to fall down to at least this line, and it might even push through that one. But if it finds support here and starts to pick up off of it, especially if it breaks this little high zone right here where my crosshair is, if it breaks that little high zone, well, now it's going to make another new high. So it might just be for the intraday, just the daytime, but it's going to make that new high. And so what it did was it broke through that little high there and kept pushing. So it gives you like all the confidence you need once you see all these lines in here. And like I said, it's almost like telling the future, because now we know, okay, it's found a resistance right here. It didn't really find one right in here. So it went up to this one. We know, hey, it's got to find a resistance at one of our lines here. If it finds a resistance somewhere else, then we missed the line, and now we can add it in there. But you will definitely be able to see where and when it's finding resistance. So you can say, okay, well, it's finding resistance there. It's already broke through a couple resistances here. So I'm just going to go ahead and cover my call, take my profit, get out while I'm safe, while I'm in the money. You never know that it's going to break through one of these. There's no way to really tell. Unless it just starts to just boom, 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 and you see volume rolling in. There's no other way to tell that that thing is going to keep breaking resistance zones. Now, one thing that you can do to kind of see, hey, when it should probably start slowing down is you see this RSI indicator on the bottom of my chart. Most stuff, do you know anything about RSI? Okay, so people that might watch this YouTube video in the future, RSI, when it hits 70 or around 70, that means that it's overbought. Too many people are buying it up. The thing needs to go down. When it's down here around the 30 zone, that means it's oversold, and it needs and should start to come back and go up towards 50, 60, 70 area. So usually everything, any stock, Forex does this, it'll bounce just in between that 30 and 70 zone. You will see it shoot up above 70 quite a bit of times. You will see it blow through 30 and keep going down. Yeah. So you can see, okay, when it starts to find resistance up here, check your RSI. This thing was at 85. So, if it's found that first resistance there, it's time to get out. There's no reason or no way this thing's gonna keep going with the RSI scale like that at all. So that plus the vision signal plus the resistance zones it's just kind of like you just got to build that checklist. So up here on this short signal, you can see our RSI again was a good bit above 70. That's probably a good spot to put buy a put. So right here you see this long signal came at where the RSI was. Let's see, it's right there on that peak. It was about 65, 66. So that's not a good spot to buy. Now again, this isn't Vision's fault. Vision's just seeing what's on the chart at the time, and trying to get you in the best areas and trying to get you out the best areas. That's why like these short signals you see come after the longs. Vision's going to tell you when you need to get out. It's going to try to keep you safe for the long term, for the long run. How much profit versus how much loss are you going to be at the end of the month. I think a lot of people get stuck on how much or how can I become a millionaire today instead of trying to play the long game. But so you can use all these, there's two indicators I use besides Vision, and that is the RSI and the VWAP line. And I'll show you some of the VWAP stuff here in a minute. But yeah, without these lines, you're flying blind. So and there's so many people that just don't use them, and that's okay. They're probably new. So I'm glad that I'm recording this. That way people can watch it and start to understand what they should be doing before they even ever take a trade. So like this little zone right here, you see it come up off this support, clearly found it. It said go long here. This was pre-market. So it had a little pullback. Of course, it's got to have a pullback because, stuff can't just go straight up. Yep, exactly. So you see why and kind of where it started to have its pullback. It hit that 70 zone and started to have its pullback. Every stock has to have a little reset. Like I said, nothing can just go straight up like a rocket. I wish, but that's not the case. So let me use my little arrow key here. So it came up, it smacked that 70 zone on the RSI, had a little pullback here. There's a difference between pullbacks and reversals. Reversal is if it made this little high right here, this would be your reversal zone, where that last little low point was. If that breaks that low point, that's a reversal. That's a trend reversal. But if it makes this little pullback here, that's just because it's time to have a little pullback. Like I said, stuff can't go straight up, so it's got its little pullback. It come down to RSI about 52, 53, which is a pretty good zone. I like to see stuff around 50 or under 50, but that's a pretty good zone. So you would have had pretty good confidence in holding through this little pullback. You might not have needed to if you had some contracts on this thing. That little run right there would be plenty. And then it kept shooting up. And you can see with those two candles right there, those first two large size green candles what it do? It smacked that resistance and had a little pullback. Same thing with this one here. It smacked that resistance, but it kept pulling back on that. And then that fourth candle finally just shot through it, and that's why it kept going up, because it started to break these resistance zones. People seen it. People seen the RSI down here. The RSI again was around 83, 84. So people started taking profit. And this is right after market open, so it's going to be pretty volatile. This was going to be a pretty fast little ride. I mean, your trading day could have been done right there. Now, you can't buy contracts anywhere that I know of in or pre-market or after hours, but you could get them right there on the open for sure, and hit that little wave. Especially, we have no short signal here, and we know exactly what it's going to be trying to do. So if we want to take a little gamble and see if we can break through that resistance, knowing that the market open has the highest volatility, there's a good chance of it. So you definitely have a better chance to break at least one or two of those resistance zones, take your money and run. And then so we know with the RSI being that high, this is a sweet spot to buy some puts. Like when this thing shoots this high and the RSI is that high, well, it's time for a pullback, and it's going to be a good one. So we can see that it came down here. The RSI was about 45, 46. Then you can also see your RSI scale start to kick back. So when you see that RSI scale start to kick back, that means, okay, there's some long volume coming in there. And then we got a long signal. And even if you exited your position or covered your call or your puts right there, you would have been well in the money, well into profit. I mean, like I said, your trading day could have been done right there. And then it comes up, smacks that resistance, and we see exactly what happened. We see exactly what happened right here. It came up, hit that resistance line that we just drawn. We could have drawn these lines 4 or 5 weeks ago. Smacked it. It got pushed down. We could see that by this little candle here. And then you got another red, and then we got a short. Well, with the resistance that it found, and definitely doesn't look like it's going to be trying to retest it anytime soon, we know that's going to be a good spot to get some more, to buy some more puts. And so we kind of run down here, and you could say that this kind of found a support right here. I'd say it's close enough to be a support right here. But again, just like going up, the RSI and everything has to have a little reset too. So it got down here, probably touched 28 or so, right around here, had a little pullback, got it high enough to where it could keep going down, and so it just kind of fell throughout the day. And then right here we found that this support didn't really, we got that one little green candle where it tried to keep above that support, and then it kept going underneath. And basically once they start to close above or underneath the support and resistance, that's kind of confirmation that it broke it. So fear moving faster than hope, stuff usually falls and sells off a lot faster than it will go up. So buying some puts is really, in my opinion, where the money's at. Because, I mean, they can fall fast. A lot faster than they can go up. So, basically, I mean, again, you see that long signal there in pre-market, comes to the market open. The RSI is nice and under 50. You got that long signal. Found that you could see these 3 red candles here finding a good support there. And then you could even wait for that second candle after market open to get into a position. The RSI is a little high there. But that's a really nice candle with no bottom wick, so it's a really bullish sign when they have no bottom wick. And then same with reverse on the red candles. If they have no wick coming out the top, that's a very bullish or a very bearish sign. So you look for that no wick either out the bottom of the green candles or out the top of the red candles, and that'll kind of tell you what it should be doing. So you see how it went from green to red here, and then we got a red doji. A doji is a good indication of a change. So whether that be the whole trend or whether that be just for just a little intermittent time there, a doji is a really good sign of a change of direction, basically. So you can kind of see all these green candles, basically every one of them except one had no lower wick coming out the bottom. Then we got 2 dojis right in a row and a little tiny green candle and another doji, and then it started to have its little pullback. Plus we have the RSI, plus we have the resistance and support zones. We know exactly what's going to happen now. Like I said, with these lines and everything else, you can tell the future. But vision kept us in. because it was trying to see, hey, is it going to actually reverse here, or is it actually going to keep just that little pullback there and start to come back up and try to go higher? And in fact, Vision did exactly what it's supposed to do, and it got us out right at the exact time we needed to be, instead of getting faked out down here. Now you could probably turn your risk a lot lower, and probably get some sell signal right here, but that's just personal preference on the risk. So same. I mean, I don't know if we already went over this section up here, but same thing. I mean, long signals, once it started to break those resistance zones, kept you in right here on this little pullback. Seeing that, hey, it's not going to break through this resistance zone, so let's get out right here. And right here, you definitely would have been in a profit. And then you see all these dojis right here on this support. So we would have basically known, hey, we probably should stay out right here, because it's not even, basically it's saying it doesn't know what the chart's wanting to do yet. So once it started to fall through, Vision gave us a confirmation, and then it fell down until it can find another support. I kind of like to think of it, as you throw a rock down a mountain, it's going to keep tumbling until it finds something to support it and hold it from keep on tumbling. Because like I said, stuff goes down a lot faster than it goes up. So let me yeah, let me get rid of some of these lines here, and then I'll show you the VWAP deal that I use. No, this is an indicator that is built in on every broker that I've ever seen. Yep. So let me get rid of the extended hours, because I like to usually keep them off when I'm showing people stuff. So this a VWAP indicator. Let me also pull off the RSI so the chart will get bigger. So the VWAP indicator is volume weighted average price. It's basically the average of what everybody's position is. Usually, for that, it usually goes on based on like the day, unless you switch to like a daily chart or a weekly chart or whatever. But it is, I would say, the best, besides the charting that I just showed you, the best, what am I trying to say here? The best support and resistance line that moves itself. So you turn it on and it moves itself, and it basically, if you see here, we'll start right here on this day. So this is Friday. So you see it comes down, it tests this VWAP line as a support, picks it back up, gets that doji as a little reversal, possible pullback, just a little trend change there, and then it falls through our VWAP line and then starts to close underneath it. So that's a really good sign. Hey, just like a support and a resistance, once it falls down, closes below that support, it's going to go until it finds a support somewhere else. And so it kept falling. So I mean, this right here, if you got right there on those candles that closed below it, and it kept going red on you, and you got maybe that little bigger one there or whatever. Let me see. I got it on Gambler right now. So we got a short signal right here. So I mean, there's some good confirmation there. You get your, and I'm sure this short signal was flashing at you here, trying to give you a little early indication. There's probably a really good short coming up. So you buy your puts right there and you ride this thing down. And you'll start to notice, if you watch everything with VWAP, each chart, each stock usually has basically a set amount that it likes to run away from the VWAP, whether it's to the upside or to the downside, before it starts to come back. So you can start counting like these little boxes that are on the screen. Like this is 1, 2, 3, let's see, 4, 5, maybe 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 8. This will have there will be a pattern here that you can start to see on every stock that you watch. So on the SPY, usually it's 4 boxes that it likes to run, whether it's to the upside or downside, above or below the VWAP line, and then it starts to come back. Now, there is no guarantee that once it comes back, it's going to bust through that VWAP line like it would a resistance. Because if you see here, it runs to it, it pokes its head up a bit, but then it falls right back down. So it never really closed above it, in my opinion. It just kind of poked its head up and fell back down when it couldn't break through. Because if it breaks through, you'll see everything will have just a nice little run. Because there's actually a strategy that people use called the VWAP breakout strategy, and when it comes up and it breaks through that VWAP, they usually buy it around right there and push it up, because it'll run just like breaking any other resistance. But since it didn't, it fell straight back down. And again, I have my risk on gamblers, so if we turn that up and lower our risk a lot, we can see that now Vision told us to short way up here. I mean, this is a big money move now. I don't usually typically run my risk on Gambler. I'm always very low because I'm more of a scalping person. But if we bought some puts up here, I mean, this could have completed our trading week, you know. And so we got along here. So you buy your calls down here, run them up until you see a little reversal, which to me that's that little doji candle. There's your exit. Cover your calls. You see that short come after a couple bits later. There you buy some more puts and you run them down until it starts to reverse. Another little doji candle there, and you cover them there, and that's it. Now this late in the day, I don't ever buy options because I day trade them. So I'm buying, the the closest expiration date usually, which is either same day or next day. So I don't ever buy this late. Yeah. Yes. No, you can buy the same expiration date. So let's see. This was the 27th. So I don't know, since it was a Friday and a weekend, if they would have had same day. Um, they might have went for Monday would be your expiration date, but I would assume early in the morning you could at least buy some of this because I know on the SPY is Monday, Wednesday, Friday contracts. But every time I've seen so far and every time I've traded it so far, I have been able to buy same day contracts. Now a lot of times I don't go buying same day contracts past noon because then the theta and the time decay starts to kill you. The reason why is because since it's the same day expiration and now it's late in the day, you only have a few hours left after noon basically until the market closes. Even if you got into the money on those, is there going to be anybody that wants to buy your contracts from you and allow you to basically cover them? Most likely not, because everybody knows and everybody sees, hey, these are the same day expiration. There'd have to be a really good move here for me to make any money on them. So it's really risky. So that's why basically at noon, I don't buy any more same day expiration contracts. That's usually right there, basically off the open before 10:30 is kind of my cutoff time. Now you can go buy next day or next week expirations if you want to. That's fine. They're just going to cost you a little more because there's more time for you to make that money. So the premium of being able to have that time to make your money is already built into the price of the contract. If you see this, we'll go back the day before with the VWAP deal. You can see it came up and it broke through it, closed above it, so they pushed it up a good bit more. We got the doji candle there showing us that's a real good possible reversal there. So it came down. That candle kind of found support there on the VWAP, started to break through it, broke through it, broke through it, and so it started to fall. And I guarantee if our RSI was on right now, that RSI would be through the roof. So it fell. Like I said, it falls. Most of this stuff will kind of show you a pattern if you watch it day to day and you trade the same stuff every day. That's what I would suggest doing, is finding something like cash and like all of us do, like with SPY, and just trade the same thing every day. So you start to kind of learn its patterns because they will show themselves like every time you'll see. I mean, you'll start to notice a new pattern until you basically find them all. But we see right here, came up, smacked the VWAP as a resistance, fell right back down. Smacked it right here on this candle, and then when we went to the next candle, so you can see with this candle here, the body of it got pushed down once it started to find a resistance on it. And then with this next one, broke through it pretty good, and this one closed above it or right on it, whichever way you want to call it, but started to pick up right here. We got that little indication of that doji candle and this doji candle. Then our short signal from Vision, and then it breaks through and it falls. Same thing here, came up here, found a support right there, which is nice. A nice little green doji candle, and then picked up a little bit. And you can see right here, if we draw this line right here, you can see all those resistances right through there. So this line was probably one of our exact lines that we had before that I took off. And so you can see now what happened here was it found the resistance. You can see the bodies of those green candles pushed down pretty hard. and then came up on it, found a resistance on it, couldn't hang it, so it just fell through. Same thing here, came up. I mean, you can see all these reversals through here. There's probably at least 10 of them right there. Couldn't push above this resistance, and that's exactly why it fell. And then it fell a little bit harder because it broke through the VWAP. Came up, tested it again, got knocked back down, but this time it found a support on the VWAP. So it came up, tested again, found another support on the VWAP, tested it, fell. Finally broke that resistance, so it had a nice little push there. So basically, if you find your support and resistance lines, like, you don't have to have the VWAP on there. It's just a really good indication of why it could be smacking these areas. Why is it dumping off here? Why is it shooting through here? Basically, you just want to find those supports and the resistances. Whether that be these horizontal lines on the chart, whether that be the VWAP, your choice. You can have all of them on there if you want to. I typically, on SPY, I have that certain strategy that I use with SPY and the VWAP, so that's what I use for the SPY. But like I just said, I just started getting into Forex, so I've been using my horizontal support and resistance lines a lot, because Forex is basically 100% technical. So it's been really nice. And then I think, if everybody started to put these lines on their charts, they would start to see exactly when and why they should go long or short. Yeah, I mean, it's basically a future teller. Because otherwise you're just in here flying blind. Sure, you can go off. Yeah, I mean, you could go off the vision signals. Sure. I mean, that's what it's for. But there might be a couple of these little short traps in here. That's going to happen. Like I said, it's not Vision's fault, but our next update fixes a lot of that too. So, yeah, that's really all you got to do. Mm-hmm. Well, that's fine. If you want to do that, I mean, that's perfectly fine. I'll show you. Let me get Vision off there real quick. Basically, you're just going to go back to the weekly chart, and that's where you're going to start your charting. So if we go here, obviously we got a high right there. We got a high right here. We got a high. We'll kind of split the difference there and grab all those. We'll grab these. We're just going to grab that low just for shits and giggles. And let's see, we're going to kind of split the difference in here. And then now we're going to go from the weekly chart to the daily chart. And now we can see, boom. So if you see right here, why did it get smacked? Because it hit that resistance. And it started to bust through all these. I mean, it was doing good push right there. Got smacked. They said, okay, well, it's time to reset. And so if you bought some puts right here on this, and you had a week, 2, 3, maybe a couple months expiration out on them, I mean, you would have bought a new Tesla. So we see now exactly why it found the support. And let's just flip on Vision here. And since we're on a really high time frame, I'm going to put it on the gambler risk. And it didn't really change much. But we see exactly why it's saying long, exactly why it's saying short, why it's saying long, why it's saying short. I mean, it's that easy. Why did it say long here? Why did it say short here? Why did it say long? Why did it say short? So, and we, like I said, we basically can tell the future now because we had these lines on the chart before we even turned on Vision. And Vision doesn't go on any type of support and resistance line. Vision just sees what's going on the chart, and it tells you the best, suggested spot to get in, long or short. But now that we see it, now we have that. I mean, basically, that's giving you 100% confidence of, okay, well, that's probably a super good long to get in on. So now we can swing some contracts. Let's say we'll put them a month out just to have that time. and let this thing run as long as it wants to run. And this thing went from that long signal was August 20th to, let's see, September 3rd, or was that, no, August 21st, sorry, to September 3rd. So I mean, a couple weeks there, maybe, not even. And so if you bought a month contract, you'd have plenty of time, so time decay wouldn't really hurt you. And I mean, if you swing contracts and this thing picks up that much, I mean, this is, if you grab that info line right here, which is one of my favorite tools, and we see there to that top wick right there, there was a potential profit of 16.85%. And so it looks like $5.07. So if you bought a contract a month out for $1 above current price at that time, and it went $5 above current, your strike or your current price at that time, I mean, that's a big move. That's a big profit. And so, like, especially on this long too. This long was 3 days long, 4 days long before it gave you the short signal. Plenty good profit in here. Like, it looks small because we're on the daily chart, but I mean that's another big move too. That's a $4.33 move roughly. Let's just say $4.50. So that's another big move. So let's just turn on our RSI, and we'll kind of line it up with these. So our RSI was definitely below 50 here, 49.1. So okay, there's that RSI confirmation, there's the support confirmation, and there's the vision confirmation. We're good to go. We don't need nothing else. Even with this tiny little move up here, if we got in here and ran this up, you can kind of see a little wick up in there in the short signal. That's a $2.79 move that lasted about 4 or 5 days. And then like I said, if you play this Uber stuff every single day or every week, if you're swing trading the options, then I mean you're gonna start to see, like, how many times does it like to smack these resistance zones before it shoots up above it or starts to break down and stop trying to break through it. So you can see this move up here. I mean, this was a 15.7, almost a $15.75 move just to that point. And then max, it was, let's see, about $18. It was like, if you bought a couple contracts on that, boy, you would have been able to buy a new house. Yeah. So, oh yeah, that thing should be dumping off real soon. So that RSI on that long signal was again right at 50. 50 is that sweet zone. Obviously 30 is better, but 50 is typically where stuff likes to hang out. So that RSI, vision confirmation, support line confirmation. It tested this support line 1, 2, 3 times before it started to take back up off of it. So if it didn't break through on that third time, it ain't breaking through now. So there's only one way it's going to go, and that's up. And that goes the same thing with sells too. So if we go back here, this tested it twice here. In the big picture, it tested it twice, and then finally broke through it. Yep. So even on this short signal right here, if you would have played it, back down to that support line there. I can't see it now because that thing's in the way. Let's see. It's almost a $3 move in just that little area. It looks small because we're on the daily chart, but a $3 move is a big move when you're buying contracts. So that's it. And then if you wanted to go further into the 4 hour and 2 hour, like you said, that's it. There you go. Yep. And so you can come in here and you can find some more spots to put some lines. But definitely, since we started on the weekly chart and then went to the daily, it gave us the main ones. So that's the really strong ones, and that seems to be what it's following. So if you want to, when I put this on YouTube, you can screenshot this, or I can screenshot it now and send it to you, and that way you can see the price over there on the right hand side of where I've got all the main support and resistance lines. And I'll just screenshot it and send it to you right now in our message. That way you can throw the lines in the same spot and start to see on your screen why they're there. Yep, yep. That's it. And this again, this goes for buying shares, trading shares, and same with contracts. You're still doing the same thing, except going short is a lot easier when you buy puts than going short if you're trading shares. Because trading shares, going short, you gotta borrow them from the broker. You gotta owe your broker a little bit of money, and that's just a pain, you know. And that's maybe assuming that your broker has any shares too short, because a lot of times people will look for these big runners, and all the shares that are available to short are already taken. Yeah. So when you can just go in, buy a put, and run it down, and you don't have to mess with nothing else, that makes it a lot sweeter. Yep. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's money. They got they got money. I mean, I wouldn't just go puts because there's a lot of money to be made going long too, and buying calls. You might as well, since it's so easy, just play it both ways. Especially, like I said, you could play Uber by itself every day, and it's so great because now you don't care about the news anymore. You don't have to go searching, well, who's got the best news today, and then try to play who's got the best news. Like I can't tell you how long it's been since I've even looked up any type of stock related news. When you hear about big news like no stimulus check coming, or maybe South Korea bombed us or something, like you're gonna know about it because everything's just gonna dump. And I'm sure somebody somewhere will let you know, whether in Discord or whatever, about the bad news. Uh, so you'll know about the bad stuff that's really gonna affect the market. But other than that, if you trade the same thing every day and you just go off the lines that everybody else has on their chart, you're good to go. Because like this zone right here, you could play this stuff just every day. I mean, even if without vision, if you wanted to, you could see, oh, it's finding support there, starting to pick back up. I'm gonna go long. And do you want to stay in it until it breaks through the zones? I wouldn't, because you never know that it's gonna break through those. It could sit there and bounce back down and then break through. So you could take this right here, go long here, buy a call, run it up till you see it hit your support line, and get out of it. And then yeah, you missed out on this profit here, but it is what it is. You didn't take a loss. That's what matters. So oh yeah, over here, yeah, it's crazy high. It's crazy high. It's 78, 77, 78. At one point, it was 81. Oh yeah, yeah. It's gonna come down and probably touch that support now, and it might fall through it, or it might have enough dump there to where it can kind of reset itself and keep going up. And in which case, you come over here, you grab you another line, and put it there, because the that resistance isn't on the chart yet, but it found some resistance there. So in the future now, that's always going to be a resistance zone. And it's got a nice little uptrend to it. Um, we start there. I mean, it's running straight, just kind of straight up there. So it might just kind of come back, find the support, and keep going up over time. And it wouldn't surprise me. Uber just started last year or so, and it's a pretty popular and pretty poppin' company. But yeah, yeah, no problem. That's what I'm saying. That's usually when I do a one-on-one. This is what I show people, and it usually changes. Like the next day they go trading, they're like, "Damn, man, I wish I knew that before." But I think it's so simple that people just overlook it, because you're like, "Oh yeah, you say I could tell a future with some lines." Yeah, right. Well, I mean, we can see here what exactly. Like I said, you can come in here and play puts and calls. Like if it stayed in this zone right here, you can sit there and make money off it every single day, all week. Just hold them until you see it come up and start to test that resistance and bail. You don't, like I said, you don't know that it's going to break through this. And would you rather? Gamble on it. I'm not too big of a gambling person, so I'm not gonna mess with it. The RSI right there when it started to touch that resistance was 66. So hey, it's hitting that resistance. I don't know that it's gonna break through it. The RSI's a good bit close to 70. I'm just gonna cover my call and take my money. Ain't no shame in taking profit. Ain't none. But that's it. I mean, it's that easy. I think a lot of people just overlook it. And really, I mean, all you're doing is you come in there, you find the very highs that stand out to you, and the very lows that stand out to you, and then you try to see all the common ones. So the more you do it, the easier it'll be. You'll kind of just be able to see these lines in here without drawing them. You'll just be able to see them in your head. And we can see now, we see why this zone dumped off really hard on the weekly chart. This thing ran up, got really high on the RSI zone, so it took just a big reset. So it just boom, fell off. There might have been some bad news there, who knows, but we know for sure it smacked our resistance there. The RSI was high. COVID, yep. Imagine that. Everything lined up with COVID, it seems like. RSI was high, smacked our resistance all at the same time. I won't go into any conspiracy theories, but but yeah, if you don't have any more questions, I'm gonna jump off here and upload this to YouTube. I'm glad I recorded it, that way everybody can see it. Good deal. Yeah, if you need anything else, just holler at me. Yep, no problem. See you later.